1 second ago, everything seemed peaceful, everything under control. Then, in the blink of an eye, chaos struck. Blaring car horns, an unwanted message, a glance that made you uncomfortable, pressure from work, family, life, all blending together, swirling like a whirlwind sweeping through your mind. And you find yourself stuck in the middle of the storm, unsure of where the exit is. Why is it so hard to stay calm? Why does it sometimes feel like your own mind is secretly working against you? The answer is not easy to accept, but it is very real. If you don't train yourself to master your mind, it will master you. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? But what if I told you that you can take back control? That there is a path not new that some of the wisest people in history have walked to find peace, even when the world around them was in turmoil. Stoicism teaches us a profound truth. Peace does not come from what happens outside, but from how we choose to respond. And today, you will learn how to train that mind, to keep yourself calm and steady, even in the most chaotic moments. Because in the end, no matter how many upheavals life puts us through, we still only have 2 choices: control the mind or let it control us. But before diving into theory, let me tell you the story of a real person. A very ordinary person like you, like me, but with a journey full of transformation. The story begins with a man named Thomas. Thomas, 33 years old, seemed to be living a fairly stable life. A good job, close friends, a partner by his side. But Thomas carried within him a dangerous habit. He suppressed all his emotions. Reprimanded at work, he forced a smile. Hurt by a loved one's words, he pretended not to hear. Disappointment, anger, worry, no matter how big or small, he swallowed them all, kept them buried deep inside. Not a word of complaint. Not once did he vent. But you know, those emotions don't disappear. They build up, quietly, steadily. And then at some point, all it takes is a spark, and Thomas's mind would explode like a barrel of gunpowder. Every night coming home, Thomas didn't understand why he felt irritable. The neighbor's barking dog, a misplaced letter, or a broken oven, nothing significant yet, enough to drive him mad. He knew it was irrational, but he couldn't control it. Then, one summer night, everything went too far. Thomas's girlfriend, after in a scattered conversation, said one simple thing: "You're always angry." And boom! Thomas shouted. The door slammed shut. Accusations flew through the room like sharp knives. The air thickened to the point of suffocation. But the notable part wasn't the argument. It was what happened after. Thomas walked out of the house. No phone, no wallet, just an exhausted body and a spinning mind. He wandered aimlessly through the streets until his legs gave out. Near dawn, he stopped, slumped onto a bench in a quiet park. His hand, almost unconsciously, reached into his pocket for his phone, opened YouTube, and the first thing that appeared was a video with the words, "You can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond." A simple sentence. But to Thomas at that moment, it was like a bell ringing in the dark night. A door slightly opened. That video was about Stoicism, a foreign concept that Thomas had never heard of before. But in a moment when he had nothing left to lose, Thomas let the video play. And that was the moment everything began. That night, he didn't sleep. He watched one video after another, read quotes from Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. At first, it all seemed like just theory, but the more he read, the more he listened. Thomas began to feel something very real. It is not the events that make us suffer, but how we think about them. The easier something causes you to lose control, the weaker you are in front of it. Thomas began to understand that calmness is not a gift reserved for the lucky ones. It is a skill that can be learned, can be trained. Just like building muscle, you have to be consistent with your mind every day. From that night on, Thomas began to change little by little. When angry, he took a deep breath before saying anything. When feeling irritated, instead of reacting immediately, he took a step back and observed his emotions. When the tightness in his chest from anger returned, he walked out of the room, took a walk until he calmed down. Of course, he didn't always succeed. Sometimes Thomas still made mistakes, still slipped up, still felt frustrated. But there was one important difference. He was no longer a slave to his emotions. Anger still came knocking, but now Thomas knew he didn't have to open the door. And just like that, day by day, no one really noticed, but Thomas became a different person. Still him, but a steadier version. Calmer, knowing how to control himself instead of being pulled around by emotions. You see, no one is born calm, but anyone can learn to become that way. Just like Thomas, you too can start today. You know, we don't always have to react to everything. It's not necessary to shout to prove we are right. True strength always lies in the sense of peace within each person, not in outward actions or words. I know you're not Thomas, but surely you've had moments where your mind led you to places you never wanted to go. And just like Thomas, you'll soon realize that true calm doesn't come from having everything around you in order, but from having stability within. So today, I'll show you how to train this, help you stop depending on traffic, your boss's attitude, the weather, or someone else's mood swings to feel at peace. You will learn how to master your mind, to stay calm even when the world around you is chaotic. And trust me, if Thomas could do it, so can you. Let's get started. But before we continue, if you find this content helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe and consider becoming an exclusive member to receive more special benefits. Oh, and share in the comments what you'll do today to control your mind, or simply write, "I am a Stoic." We'd love to walk with you on this journey. Now, who's really in control here? Is it you or your mind? Let me guess. You've had days where you woke up full of energy, ready to conquer the world. But just one small hiccup made everything fall apart. A tiny email mistake, and your mind starts whispering that you're incompetent. Or when someone says something harsh, and you spend the next half hour replaying all the things you wish you had said. Worse still, when you're driving and someone cuts you off, and your anger flares even more than when your favorite team lost the Champions League final. That's what the mind does if you let it run wild. Like a wild horse running aimlessly, with no clear direction. And if you don't know how to train it, the mind will drag you into the mud without mercy. Whether your goal is to stay calm, make wiser decisions, or simply live with less pressure, it all depends on whether you can master your mind. Because if you don't control it, it will control you. Imagine a situation like this. You're in a relaxed meeting. The conversation is flowing gently, happily. Suddenly, someone drops a sharp remark, like a punch disguised as a joke. Your ego is instantly hurt. Blood rushes to your face. Your heart starts pounding, and your mind fills with witty comebacks. But slow down a bit. Is that really necessary? Or is it just your mind urging you to react without thinking? This is when you need to remember the philosopher Epictetus. He said it clearly centuries ago. It is not the events that disturb us, but how we interpret them. Think about it for a moment. Was that comment really as serious as you believe, or did you assign it too much negative meaning? For example, someone tells you, "You could have done that better." You could understand that sentence in two very different ways. If your mind is in panic mode, you might instantly think, "I'm terrible. They're definitely disappointed in me." And then you'll start digging up every small mistake from the past months, sinking deeper into self-doubt. But what if you chose to interpret it differently? What if that comment was simply a gentle suggestion, a chance for you to improve yourself, with no intention to attack? The words are exactly the same, but the meaning is yours to choose. The danger is that we often don't even realize we're being deceived by our own minds. In your brain, there's a small part called the amygdala, a primitive structure designed to detect danger and respond instantly. But there's a serious problem. This part of the brain can't tell the difference between a lion about to pounce on you and a sarcastic remark from someone else. To the primitive brain, both are equally threatening. That's why the most important thing you must do is practice controlling your mind. Calmness is not some magical force that appears out of nowhere. It is a skill you need to develop, strengthen, and turn into a natural reflex. But how do you start? First, remember the 3-second rule. When something angers or agitates you, pause and take a deep breath. Count slowly. 1, 2, 3. That brief pause can make a big difference, giving your rational brain time to intervene before instinct explodes and causes unwanted consequences. Next, learn to rewrite the story you're telling yourself. Instead of thinking, "They don't respect me, I need to strike back now," try reminding yourself, "I don't need to waste energy on this trivial matter." It sounds simple, but this can completely shift how you react to stressful situations. And the third step is to activate observer mode. Imagine you're standing outside yourself, watching everything unfold like a movie. Ask yourself, how would a wise, calm character handle this situation? Surely they wouldn't be so easily affected by something so small, right? You see, if you don't take control of your mind, someone else will, or worse, your own impulsive reactions will do it for you. They will hurt you more than anything else. So every time anger, disappointment, or fear arises, remember this: the reins are always in your hands. The choice is always yours. Picture this. You're driving on the highway. Everything is going smoothly. You feel completely in control. But suddenly, the steering wheel starts moving on its own. You try to keep it straight, but you can't. It swerves left and right, speeds up, ignoring your attempts to hit the brakes. You start to panic as you realize you're no longer the one driving the car. That is exactly how it feels when anger takes over. In that fleeting moment, you lose all control of your behavior, say things you don't really mean, and act in ways you'll regret for a long time. And when everything's over, what's left is only the damage. Because the truth is, anger doesn't just cloud your mind. It pulls you away from the things that truly matter to you, like calmness, clarity, and the ability to handle things with composure. If you need a clear example, think of the Will Smith incident at the Oscars. Everything seemed perfect. It was the most glorious moment of his career. But just one joke from Chris Rock about his wife, and anger immediately took the wheel. No thinking, no restraint. Will walked straight onto the stage and slapped Chris. In front of millions of viewers, that 1 minute of losing control destroyed everything he had built over the years. His reputation, admiration from the public, a glorious career all came crashing down because of a moment of unchecked emotion. Was it worth it? As Seneca warned centuries ago, the angry man suffers more than the one he is angry at. The truth is, the problem always lies in how we interpret what happens around us. The danger is, we often don't even realize that our mind is deceiving us. In your brain, there is a small part called the amygdala, a primitive structure designed to detect threats and respond instantly. But here's the serious issue. This brain cannot distinguish between a lion about to pounce on you and a sarcastic comment from someone else. To the primitive brain, both are seen as equal threats. That is why the most important thing you must do is practice taking control of your mind. Calmness is not some magical force that appears out of nowhere. It is a skill you need to train, strengthen, and turn into a natural reflex. But how do you begin? First, remember the 3-second miracle rule. When something makes you angry or agitated, pause and take a deep breath. Count slowly. 1, 2, 3. That brief pause can make a huge difference, giving your rational brain time to intervene before your instincts erupt and lead to regretful consequences. Next, practice rewriting the story you are telling yourself. Instead of thinking, "They don't respect me, I need to strike back immediately," remind yourself, "I don't need to waste energy on this petty matter." It sounds simple, but it can completely change the way you respond to stressful situations. And the third step, activate observer mode. Imagine you are watching yourself from the outside, like viewing a scene in a movie. Ask yourself, how would the wisest, calmest version of yourself handle this situation? Surely they wouldn't be shaken so easily by something so small, right? You see, if you don't take control of your mind, someone else will, or even worse, your own impulsive reactions will do it for you, and they will hurt you more than anything or anyone else. So, every time anger, disappointment, or fear arises, remember one thing. The reins are always in your hands. The choice is always yours. Now imagine this. You are peacefully driving on the highway. Everything seems under control until suddenly the steering wheel starts turning on its own. You try to hold it straight, but it doesn't respond. It jerks side to side like it has a will of its own, speeds up, and ignores the brakes. Panic sets in because you realize you are no longer the one driving. The car is taking you wherever it wants to go. That is what anger feels like. 1 second, you think you are in control, and the next you realize something else is driving. It pulls you along, makes you say things you didn't mean, react in ways you'll regret, and by the time you manage to stop, all that's left is the wreckage. Because anger doesn't just cloud your mind, it pulls you away from what you truly want: calmness, clarity, the ability to handle things without being thrown off balance. If you need proof that anger can destroy everything in just 1 second, just look at Will Smith at the Oscars. Everything was going great. It was his night. He was about to receive the most important award of his career. Then Chris Rock made a joke about his wife. And what did Will do? Nothing, because anger had already taken over. He stood up, walked straight onto the stage, and without a second of thought, slapped Chris in front of millions of people. An impulsive, uncontrolled act. A moment where his mind grabbed the steering wheel without asking, and his public image went straight off a cliff. Years of earning respect and admiration vanished just because he didn't pause to think. Was it really worth it? Seneca made it clear centuries ago. The angry man suffers more than the one who offended him, because in the end, the person who throws the first punch forgets it minutes later. But you carry the anger with you, replaying it over and over in your mind. Seneca had a rule to avoid becoming a slave to anger. When someone tried to provoke him, he gave himself time before reacting. He understood that the mind does not offer good advice when it's angry. So how do you take back the wheel when anger tries to rip it from your hands? One of the most powerful things you can do is let the anger pass without grabbing onto it. Neuroscientist Jill Bolte Taylor discovered that biologically, anger only lasts about 90 seconds. Are you saying you can't handle 90 seconds? Come on, some commercials last longer. But here's the problem. During those 90 seconds, you feed the anger. You replay what happened. You think of what you should have said. You feel the injustice of it all. And without noticing, you turn 1 minute of irritation into hours, days, even weeks of resentment. So here's something you can try. Next time you feel that surge of heat rising inside, don't do anything. Just notice it. Count to 90 and breathe. If you don't hold on to it, it will pass on its own. Movement also helps. Anger is a physical emotion. You feel it in your muscles, in your heavy breathing, in the tightness in your chest. If you sit still, it builds up and eventually explodes at the worst possible moment. It's like a pressure cooker that needs to release steam. Have you ever tried clenching your fist and then slowly relaxing it? It might sound simple, but doing something physical can strip the impulse of its power. Here's another tip. Ask yourself, will this still matter a week from now? In the moment, everything feels big, serious, unbearable. But with distance, you often realize it was nothing. Next time something makes you angry, imagine your future self a week from now looking back. If you think it won't matter anymore, then let it go right now. Think about it. If anger really solved problems, then all the people who yell and slam tables would be the happiest people on earth. But clearly, that's not the case. The smartest choice is always to redirect that energy towards something that actually matters. So next time your mind wants to slam the gas with no brakes, remember, you are the one driving. Calmness is not for the weak. It is for the victorious. Imagine a battlefield. The ground shakes with every step. The air is thick with tension. Shouts echo in all directions. The clash of swords rings out like the world is splitting in half. Everything seems out of control. Amid the chaos, soldiers are running. Some charge recklessly, others scream orders no one hears. It's complete disorder. And then, in the noise, he appears. A warrior who doesn't rush, doesn't shout, doesn't flee, and doesn't charge blindly. He walks with a clear purpose. His breath steady, his gaze calm. He is not swept away by the panic around him. He observes, he calculates, and when he acts, he does so with precision, not impulse. That is the one who earns true respect. The one who is not consumed by chaos, but instead masters the moment. Because calmness is not cowardice. It does not hold him back. It guides him. It gives him strength. He is the most dangerous man on that field. Calmness is a strategy. It is a sign of power. It is what separates those who merely react from those who lead. And if you can master that calm, if you can learn to hold on to it, even when everything shakes, then you've already won, no matter the outcome. Because life is not fair. So what? Yes, I know that doesn't sound comforting, but let's be honest from the start. Life is not fair. Period. It doesn't matter how hard you work, how kind you are, or how much you sacrifice. Sometimes someone who puts in half your effort will get all the credit. And while you do everything right, someone else might get ahead by cheating, by luck, or by connections. Is that unfair? Absolutely. Can you change that? I'm afraid not. So what do we do with that? Because I promise you this, if you let yourself drown in anger, in complaining, or in disappointment, it will only make your mind more chaotic. And, as you've seen by now, if there's one thing you truly need to train, it's the ability to stay calm when the world feels unjust. Not long ago, I heard the story of a woman named Marta. She had been working as an administrative assistant at a company for over 10 years. Responsible, punctual, always on top of things. She applied for a promotion. She had all the experience, but they gave the job to someone who had only been there 6 months and happened to be the boss's relative. Marta felt invisible. And yes, it hurt, but what could she do? Demand that life be fair? Yell at her boss? Make a scene? Lock herself at home in sadness? Of course not. Marta understood what Epictetus made clear centuries ago. Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Seek instead for them to happen as they do, and you will find peace. That quote wasn't just a phrase to her. It became her compass, because expecting life to be fair is like being angry at the rain for getting you wet. You can complain all you want, but you'll still be soaked. Or you can open your umbrella, accept what is happening, and keep walking. Marta didn't get stuck in what she couldn't control. She chose to act from a place of calm, and that was when her path began to change. Today, she works at a company where her efforts are valued, where she's even training new staff. The injustice she experienced didn't magically disappear, but she didn't let it steal her inner peace. Now, put yourself in her shoes. Or better yet, think of a moment when something similar happened to you. Maybe it was a scholarship you worked tirelessly for, a project you poured your heart into, or a conversation where you were honest but ended up losing everything. Your mind wanted to explode. It told you this was unfair, that you should shout, that you deserved better. But if you let yourself get pulled into that storm, you'll lose clarity, lose energy, and lose control. So here's a challenge for you. Try the challenge of acceptance for just one day. Make an effort not to complain about anything, not about traffic, not about your boss, not about the weather. Just observe, accept, and focus on what you can control. It might sound silly, but trust me, your mind will notice. It will stop chasing things that don't belong to you and start to calm down. And if acceptance feels too difficult, then try believing in something greater than yourself. Call it whatever you like, it doesn't matter. The universe, fate, life itself. What matters is the sense of peace that belief brings. Or, if you want something a bit more practical and even fun, imagine that you're being guided by a Stoic GPS. That's right, a spiritual navigation system. Turn right. Your boss just treated you unfairly, but keep going straight. Don't stop. It'll all make sense soon. Trust it, as if you're letting a navigation system lead you through the chaos. Every turn, every detour has a reason. You might not see the whole map, but once you trust it, you'll feel much lighter. Sometimes, all we need is the feeling that there's a plan behind the chaos, that an invisible hand is arranging the pieces. We don't need to understand everything. We just need to trust that everything happens for a reason. And you know what? If there's one thing that truly builds real mental strength, it's this: learning to stop fighting what you cannot change. Life won't always treat you the way you deserve. That's a hard truth. But you can always choose how you respond. No one can take that from you. What does that mean? It means you don't have to be a victim of circumstance. You can be the master of your response. So now, take a moment, think. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt something was completely unfair? Maybe at work, in a relationship, or just on the street. How did you handle it? Share that in the comments. Because this community exists to listen, to support, and to grow together. You know, losing control is actually a choice. And maybe you've made that choice before without even realizing it. Think back to a familiar situation. You're standing in line at the supermarket, patient, calm. Suddenly, someone cuts in front of you. They act like nothing's wrong, maybe even smile at you. What will you do? Will you explode, yell? Or will you take a deep breath, look at them, and turn away, choosing not to let that small thing ruin your day? A study from Yale University showed that when people believe they have control over their emotions, they respond more calmly in stressful situations. Not because they were born with some supernatural ability, but because they learned to think differently. They chose to, and so can you. Because no one, and I mean no one, can take away your peace unless you willingly give it away. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "You are not disturbed by what happens to you, but by your interpretation of it." A word, an action, a look, none of those things hurt you by themselves. It is the way you interpret them that causes pain. So everything really begins from within you. In that moment, your mind will decide to betray you or to become your greatest ally. If you haven't trained it, your mind will react on autopilot. It will trigger your primitive defense mode, and the amygdala, the part of the brain that detects danger, will take over. You might overreact, get angry, or even freeze up entirely. But if you hold the reins of your mind, you can create a precious pause. That pause is your safe zone between stimulus and response. That moment might save you from future regret. I call it emotional airplane mode. You know what happens when you switch your phone to airplane mode. No messages, no calls, no connections. So why not apply the same to yourself? Imagine this. Instead of reacting instantly, you press an invisible button in your mind. Everything goes quiet. You gain a few valuable seconds to ask yourself, is this really worth reacting to? Or would it be better to move on and live the rest of my day? I've used this technique in many situations, and one of them is at family meals. There's always someone who comments on how I look. Have you lost weight? You look tired, eat more, okay? Those words used to drive me crazy. I'd spend the whole day replaying them in my head, feeling irritated, losing confidence. But then I learned to turn on airplane mode. No longer let those comments control my mood. I didn't react. I just smiled and kept eating my meal, because in the end, peace of mind is my choice. No one can take it from me unless I allow it, and you can do the same. Remember earlier when we talked about switching to emotional airplane mode? Yes, that's the moment you learn to pause, disconnect from impulsive reactions, and choose not to let others control your emotions. And now, when the urge to react begins to rise, you know exactly what to do. I can feel it, like a wave of heat rising in my chest. But instead of letting it burst out, I take a deep breath. I stay silent. I don't rush to respond. I don't let those comments define my worth. And the amazing thing is it works better than you'd think. The person across from me, the one who casually threw out that harmless remark, might be expecting a reaction, but you don't give them one. You don't give them that chance. In that silent space, you've reclaimed the upper hand. That is real power. And here's one more thing worth remembering. Ask yourself, do I really want to give this person control over my emotional state? It sounds simple, but that question is like a steering wheel jolt. It wakes you up. Just by asking it, your rational brain kicks in. It pulls you out of the emotional spiral and returns you to a state of control. And in that moment, calmness starts to win. Imagine if every time someone made you frustrated, you exploded. You would live with the constant feeling of a volcano about to erupt. Blood pressure soaring, heart racing, body tensed. But you don't live to explode. You live to grow. So, the next time someone deliberately provokes you, remember this. Losing your temper is not inevitable. It is a choice, and you have the full right to refuse that choice. Now, let's move on to another part of the journey of mastering yourself, a part connected to your body. Does this scene sound familiar? You're in the kitchen, your mind spinning with 100 tasks. The rice pot is bubbling. The phone keeps ringing. Children are screaming in the background. And from the screen, email notifications keep popping up, trying to swallow you whole. Breathing rapidly, chest tightening, sweat pouring from your palms. And although nothing really serious is happening, you feel as though a storm is about to hit. The worst part is, you don't understand why you're so stressed. You only know that you feel trapped. Your mind is like a wild horse, jumping from one thought to another, unable to stop. And the sad thing is, you don't know how to get out of it. But what if I told you that you could hit the reset button right then and there? A simple reboot to regain control. The secret lies here. Move your body, not by chance, not some vague advice. A study published in Lancet Psychiatry showed that regular physical activity helps reduce the risk of severe stress by 40%. That's no small number. It's like having an invisible shield protecting you from anxiety and mental pressure. It also makes perfect sense. When your mind becomes a maze, what you need is not to dive deeper into it. What you need is to return to your body. Feel your feet on the ground, breathe deeply, move your hands, your legs. Escape the whirlwind of thoughts with something as simple as walking for a few minutes. Philosopher Seneca knew this centuries ago. He once advised, "If your mind becomes disturbed, go for a walk." That simple act can help you think more clearly, and he left a saying that you might want to remember. There is no favorable wind for those who do not know where they are going. Think about it. When you're stuck in the storm of your own mind, you can't expect the wind to blow in the right direction if you don't even know how to steer. But just by taking a step, even a small one, you change the direction of the wind. So, my friend, if one day your mind starts pulling you into the whirlwind of anxiety, don't sit still and chew on your thoughts. Stand up and move. Even just for a few minutes, take a mindful walk. No phone, no music, just you, your steps, and the world around you. Notice the sound of the leaves rustling, the sunlight filtering through the trees, the vast sky. That feeling is like you're slowly returning to yourself. A part of you that has long been hidden by stress and pressure. Or, if you want a faster and more powerful method, shake it out. Sounds odd. Maybe. But in fact, this is a real technique called gently shaking your whole body to release negative energy. All you need to do is stand up, relax your shoulders, shake your arms, legs, move your neck, and shake yourself, as though you're shaking the tension out of your body. At first, it might feel silly, even funny, but give it a try. After a minute or two, you'll clearly sense something. It's as if you just took off a heavy coat made of cement. You feel lighter, calmer, and for the first time in hours, you might find yourself smiling. So, sometimes to find peace, you don't need a miracle. You just need that first step. And then everything begins to change direction. In the next section, we will explore another powerful method to master the mind, the power of observation without judgment. It will change the way you see everything, even things that have hurt you the most. Are you ready? Let's continue together. As we just mentioned, moving your body, whether it's walking, gently shaking your whole body, or simply stretching, is an incredibly effective way to bring you back to the present, escaping the chaotic whirlwind of the mind. And if you don't have much time, no problem. Just learn from the masters of relaxation around us. Cats. Have you ever seen a cat when it just wakes up? It stretches its whole body, stretching each muscle, yawns deeply, then leisurely walks away. It's as if they're reminding us, to master the new day, start by mastering your own body. So, do as the cat does. Stretch out your arms, pull your back, gently turn your neck. Just 2 minutes of proper stretching can make you feel better than 10 positive thoughts combined. Because sometimes your mind may be screaming, saying, everything is about to fall apart. But if you move, if your body doesn't respond in the same way, at least you won't panic. And sometimes, on days when everything seems to be piling up, just keeping your body steady is a victory in itself. Remember this: when your mind is chaotic, don't think more. Move! Because calmness, in the end, doesn't just start in the head. Often, it begins with the feet, with a slow step, with a stretch, from the moment you stop and return to the earth. 7. Calmness is always a choice. Have you ever felt this way? Everything is quiet. Everything is fine. You're sitting, having tea, enjoying a bit of peace. And then, a thought creeps in. How strange. I feel so peaceful. Something bad must be coming. In just a few seconds, you go from a peaceful state to a vague wave of anxiety. It's as though your mind doesn't know how to enjoy peace, as if it doubts even the rare moments of happiness you're having. Is there something wrong with me? Why can't I simply enjoy it? The truth is, many people think they can only stay calm if everything around them is going smoothly. No traffic, jams, the boss is happy, no one is disturbing them. When everything is well behaved, they allow themselves to be at peace. But what if calmness is not a reward for when the world is kind, but a decision you can make even when the world around you is chaotic? Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, understood this long ago. He almost lived with an invisible shield. He once said, "The more something has power over you, the weaker you are to it." And he didn't just say this for the sake of saying it. He was once an advisor to the emperor. He had been exiled. He had lived under threats and betrayal. But he still chose calmness. Can you imagine? Seneca, in his long robe, someone insults him, and he just smiles faintly. No reaction, no explosion. It's as if he pressed a silent mode button within himself. Today, modern psychology calls this emotional regulation. And no, it's not an innate talent. No one is born with the ability to stay calm as a superpower. It's a skill, something that must be practiced. People who always seem calm are not because their lives are easier than yours. It's because they've learned how to respond rather than react. They've failed before. They've lost control. But over time, they've trained themselves to understand one thing. Calmness is a choice. And you've probably known someone like that, right? Someone who, no matter how heated the argument is, still sips their coffee and speaks as if nothing is wrong. Sometimes you think to yourself, do they live in a different atmosphere? No, they just live with a clear understanding. Losing your temper doesn't help at all. It doesn't change the outcome. It doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't make anyone respect you more. It just makes you lose the most valuable thing, your ability to choose your response. And there's one thing that's helped me a lot in practicing calmness, something I call the emotional plan B. Do you know what that is? It's deciding in advance how you will respond when a stressful situation occurs. It's like preparing for rain. You don't wait for the rain to go look for an umbrella. You bring the umbrella even when it's not raining, because you know sooner or later the rain will come. Stress, conflict, insults, they're the same. Sooner or later, they'll come. But you can't let yourself react instinctively every time. You need to prepare. If that happens, I will breathe deeply. I will remain silent. I will leave the room if needed. I will not let them control my mood. I know this is not easy. No one said it's easy. But the difference between someone who loses their temper and someone who keeps calm is not in who faces fewer challenges. It's in who prepares better. Your emotions aren't always easy to control, right? There will always be someone or some situation, intentionally or unintentionally, hitting your red button, triggering anger, hurt, anxiety, panic. But if you've already prepared yourself with an emotional plan, you won't be swept into an instinctive reaction anymore. Instead, you'll respond intentionally with control. Just like bringing an umbrella before it rains, an emotional plan is your mental defensive weapon that you should always have with you. But there's one more thing that can help you maintain calmness more sustainably: creating your own peaceful space. Don't think it has to be an ideal meditation space with scented candles, wind chimes, and soothing meditation music, though if that's what you like, go ahead. But a peaceful space doesn't have to be complicated or fancy. It could be as simple as listening to a calming song you love, taking a walk around your neighborhood, sitting down and reading a few pages of a book, writing down the emotions running through your head. That peaceful space is a refuge for your mind, a place you return to when the world around you is too noisy. No one else can build that place for you. Only you can do it. And in those chaotic moments, I always repeat one phrase to myself, a simple but extremely effective choice. I can be a part of the problem or a part of the solution. That phrase acts like a brake. It reminds me that I can choose which side I'm on. I can choose to make everything more tense, or I can choose to ease it. And almost immediately, when I choose peace, everything starts to change. My friend, your mind will try to pull you in. It will say, shout, get angry, worry. It will jump from one terrible scenario to another, all things that haven't even happened yet. But only you can decide whether or not to play along with that game. Only you can choose, will I be swept away? Or will I stand firm? And if calmness is a choice, if it's always there, waiting for you to grab it, then why not start choosing it more often? Trust me, the more you choose calmness, the easier it becomes to return to it. And the more you return, the freer you become. 8. You are not what happens to you. You are what you do. My friend, life won't always be gentle with you. There will be people who betray you. There will be times you lose a job, miss an opportunity, or even lose things that once meant everything to you. But what's important is not what happened, but what you do after that. Because there's one thing no one at all can take away from you, and that's your right to control your own mind. And that's where your true power begins. I want to tell you an inspiring story, not to make you emotional, but so you believe that this power is real. The story is about Brian L. Betty, Oliver, or you might know him as Brinator on TikTok. From the moment he was born, almost everything was against him. He was born with spina bifida and progressive muscular atrophy, and the wheelchair was his constant companion throughout his childhood. At that point, everyone thought Brian's life was limited, defined by all the things he couldn't do. But Brian didn't accept those limits. He chose differently. He chose to fight with what he had. He chose to laugh at his circumstances. He chose to dream big, no matter what anyone said. One day, Brian turned on his camera, opened TikTok, and began creating content, not to complain, not to ask for pity. He did it with humor, sincerity, and boldness. And then the unexpected happened. Millions of people started following him. He stepped into the world of cinema. And then he was nominated for a Goya Award for Best New Actor. Think about it. He didn't choose his body. He didn't choose the disease. He didn't choose the circumstances. But he chose how to respond. And that choice, not the circumstances, defined his life. Brian is not what happened to him. He is what he did with it. And you are the same. I'll say it again, you are the same. You can't control everything that will happen to you, but you can always decide what to do next. Because, as Epictetus once said, people are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them. You can't choose what happens to you, that's true, but you can choose how you respond. And you know what? That choice can change everything. Because if what happens to you defines you, then you'll be forever trapped in every mistake, every loss, every worst stage of your life. But if what defines you is what you do, then there will always be a path forward. There will always be hope, action, and an escape no matter the circumstances. Now think about this. If every bad experience truly shapes who we are, then we would all become the villains in our own life story. With all the wounds we've carried, with all the harsh words others have thrown at us, with all the unexpected blows from life, if all of those things were our portrait, then no one could save themselves anymore. We've thrown things out the window like in the movies. Smash, retaliate, shut the door to the world. But of course, we don't do that. Because deep down, we know what truly defines you is how you behave after the chaos. It's what you choose to do when you don't want to do anything at all. It's your reaction when everything around you is falling apart. Imagine this. Your best friend, the one you trust, the one you've entrusted your secrets to, betrays you. They reveal that secret, the one they swore they'd keep. A secret that hurts you, exposes you, and causes you to lose a valuable relationship. You feel like the whole world is collapsing. Anger, disappointment, a flood of unanswered questions crashing into your heart. And then your mind begins to revolt. It shoots out hundreds of thoughts like sparks. What should I do? Retaliate, tell them off, or walk away as if I've never known them. But if you let your mind take the lead, you'll get stuck. You'll make everything worse. You'll drown in hatred, in the desire to prove something which only ends up hurting yourself. But there's another path, and it starts with a pen and a piece of paper. Do this. Write down 3 things you could do in that situation. They don't have to be grand. They don't have to be noble. It could be taking a walk, journaling, calling another friend. Just by starting to find a solution, you've already made the shift from the victim role to the role of the one in control. And another important thing, don't rush to label everything happening as a disaster. Maybe today it hurts, but who knows, this might push you to change. Perhaps that betrayal is the catalyst that helps you return to yourself. Focus on your own needs, learn to set boundaries, and find those who truly support you. So, every time you're hurt, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Don't let your mind trap you in the prison of the past in what should have happened or what didn't go according to plan. Instead, rewrite the story. Now, take a moment. Think seriously. If you are not defined by what happens to you, but by what you do with it, what story will you write? That story begins the moment you decide not to give up. And to do that, you need a strong mind, a stable, resilient mind that knows how to stay calm. 9. Learn to breathe, and you will master your mind. It seems simple, doesn't it? Breathing something you've been doing every day, from birth until now. But did you know that how you breathe can be the difference between panic and calmness? And no, this is not magic. This is pure science. The problem is most of the time we breathe incorrectly, too fast, too shallow, in a hurry, as if our life is under threat, even though we're just responding to an email from the boss or preparing for an awkward conversation. Patrick McKeown, a leading breathing expert and author of The Oxygen Advantage, has pointed this out clearly. When you breathe shallow and fast, you activate the sympathetic nervous system, which makes your body think it's in danger. It's like your brain is shouting, "Red alert! A lion is coming! Usch, schubitbeint." While in reality, you just forgot to reply to a text message. The result? You become stressed, your heart rate increases, your head starts to spin, and you can't think clearly. But here's the good news. By simply changing the way you breathe, you can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the system that helps you relax, stabilize, and recover. Just a few deep, intentional breaths, and you can regain control. So, if you want to master your emotions, if you want to build a strong mind, start with the simplest thing, your breath. You see, our bodies can scream red alert just because. An annoying email, a curt text, or an unfriendly glance from someone. It reacts as though you're about to be physically attacked, and once the body enters panic mode, the mind loses control. It starts to run wild. It blows the issue out of proportion. It creates the worst-case scenarios. But you don't have to follow it. You can control your mind, starting with controlling your breath. Marcus Aurelius made it very clear in Meditations. If you are disturbed by something external, the disturbance is not caused by that thing, but by your judgment of it. And you can change that judgment at any time. And you know what? The fastest way to change that judgment is not by sitting and overthinking. It's through your breath. Because when your breath is calm, your judgment will be calm. Your breath is the soundtrack to your emotions. Fast music makes your mind chaotic. Slow music calms the heart. The other day, I listened to a podcast by Jefferson Fisher, a lawyer and expert in communication and emotional management. He talked about the importance of stopping and breathing before reacting, especially in high-pressure environments like court trials. He said in debates, some questions are designed to make you lose your composure and react instinctively. For example, you might be asked, "So, do you agree that you saw the car parked, but because you were in a hurry, you didn't wait and hit it?" Your typical reaction? Jumping in right away. No, that's not true. But Fisher suggests something different. Stop, breathe, look directly at the person asking, and calmly say, "No, that's not true. You see, It's not just the words you say, it's how you say them. Someone who knows how to breathe and wait can control the entire room. They're not pulled into the emotional game. They don't react, they are in control. And that's what you can do. In a debate, in a tense meeting, in situations where everything feels like it's about to fall apart. Stop. Breathe. Give yourself 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. But those 2 seconds can change your reaction. If you're at home, your mind is spinning. Everything is overwhelming. Here's a great tool that many clinical psychologists recommend. The 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Exhale slowly for 8 seconds. Repeat for 4 cycles. You'll feel like you just put out an internal fire. Things will calm down. Your breath slows. Your mind gradually returns to a state of balance. Because you know what? You can't let your mind toss you around like a leaf in the wind every time something happens. You would need something solid to hold you steady. And calmness is the only thing that will take you where you truly want to go. Breath is the gateway to that calmness. And you always carry the key with you, anytime, anywhere. So I have a little challenge for you. You don't need anything. You don't even need to leave your seat. Just sit still, close your eyes, and consciously breathe for 1 minute. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out even slower. Then share in the comments. How do you feel? Did you notice any change in your mind? Because that small action, just breathing, could be the first step towards a life that you truly control. 10. Don't obsess over the past or the future. Have you ever felt like you're stuck between 2 worlds? On one side, there's the past with all its regrets and what-ifs. On the other, there's the future filled with worries of what-ifs. And you're caught in the middle, unable to move forward. It feels like trying to drive by only looking in the rearview mirror, or staring at the GPS map while forgetting to look at the actual road ahead. What will happen? You'll crash into the present, or you'll get completely lost. The worst thing about getting caught up in the past or the future is this. You stop enjoying the journey. You no longer see the beauty of the present. You don't feel the sunlight streaming through the window. You don't hear the laughter echoing in the room. You're just trapped in your head, trying to control things that, in reality, you can't control. Marcus Aurelius, who once carried the weight of an empire, didn't sugarcoat anything. He said plainly, humans live only in the present. Everything else has either passed or hasn't happened yet. Imagine if he, an emperor, a military leader, a philosopher, kept repeating in his mind, "What if I shouldn't have sent the troops?" What if that law was wrong? If he let his mind get stuck in a loop of what-ifs, Rome might have collapsed long ago, with its leader paralyzed by doubt. The problem is, most of us live like this, in the endless loop of, what if I chose a different career? What if that thing happens again? What if I lose everything? Questions without answers. But my friend, what good does worrying about things you can't change, or things that haven't happened yet, do? The mind is very good at imagining tragic scenarios, most of which never happen. And if you don't train, it will pull you around in circles all day, like a machine with no off switch. That's where anxiety and sadness come from. worrying about tomorrow that hasn't come. Feeling sad about yesterday that didn't go right, and while your mind keeps jumping back and forth between non-existent times, you're missing the only thing you can control, the present moment. Let me tell you a familiar story. You're overwhelmed. Your mum insists on throwing your child's birthday party her way, as if you have no say. You bottle up your emotions all day, frustrated but not speaking out. Then, in a moment of impulse, you open your phone, vent all your anger and frustration in a long text, and send it to your partner, except you send it to your mum. A second later, the message is sent. She's online. She's read it. Your mind starts spinning. Why did I do that? What if she gets angry? What if this ruins everything? You're not stuck because of the message. You're stuck in your mind. And this is the moment you need to return to the present. Because rethinking, worrying, and beating yourself up won't make the message disappear. It won't bring the past back. The only thing that can truly help you is focusing on what you can do right now. So, how can you do that? The anchoring technique. Carry a small object with you, a bracelet, a coin, or just a small stone in your pocket. Whenever you feel yourself drifting into the past or diving into future worries, touch that object. Let it be a physical reminder that I am here, right now, and this is the only moment where I can take action. Dig, a minute to refresh, just 1 minute. Focus completely on what's happening right in front of you. Feel each breath. Listen to the sounds around you. Touch the nearest object and pay attention to the sensation. It's like pressing the reset button for your brain. You break the loop, bringing yourself back to center. Ask a simple but powerful question. What can I do to fix this? Not to justify, not to wallow in regret, but to act. If it can be fixed, then fix it. If not, move on, because you don't need to walk through every path of fear your mind imagines. They're just imaginations. You don't need to go through the maze. You just need to stop, stand still, and look around, because calmness doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from choosing to be present right here, right now. And that calmness, it lives in the present. Not in memories, not in predictions, but right now, in the moment you're reading these words. So, be prepared, because what's coming may not be what you expect. It's not an advanced technique. It's not a deep philosophy. It's an incredibly simple yet powerful action you can take with whatever is right in front of you. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's the only thing you need when your mind feels scrambled. 7. Use your hands to calm your mind, friend. Let me ask you a simple question. When was the last time you truly did something with your hands? And no, I'm not talking about typing, swiping on your phone, or texting at lightning speed. I'm talking about real things, touching, shaping, assembling, cooking, fixing actions that have weight, texture, and the breath of reality. When was the last time you cooked without rushing? When was the last time you drew something, even if it was a scribble, just for the fun of it, not because it had to be beautiful? Or when was the last time you fixed something in your house without calling a professional? These days, we live so much in our heads, thinking, notifications, thinking some more, scrolling, repeat. And honestly, how could you not feel overwhelmed when you've never stepped out of that? your mind gets stuck like a browser tab with hundreds of windows open at once. But there's an escape. And it's not in self-help books, not in motivational podcasts, not in YouTube or Instagram videos. It's right in your hands. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, live it." And living it often starts with action, by stepping out of the loop of overthinking and into physical action. Epictetus also believed that worry is defeated by action. Because if you just sit there thinking, you're only digging the hole deeper. But when you switch to doing something, with your hands, you send a powerful message to your brain. I'm in control here. Not the anxiety, not the fear. Me. And this isn't just the perspective of Stoicism. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the father of the concept of flow, discovered something incredibly interesting. Flow is the state where time disappears. The mind quiets down. No more repetitive voices in your head. It's just you and the task at hand. Complete focus. A profound sense of peace. And do you know what activity brings people into that state most easily? Not writing reports. Not scrolling online, but simple things, drawing, cooking, molding clay, handwriting, origami. Because they require focus and movement. They pull you back to the present without any force. And do you know who instinctively understood this? The soldiers in World War. It's so. Amidst the smoke and fire, the tension and the fear of death, many of them found peace through working with their hands. They carved wood, repaired watches, sewed, wove baskets, anything that helped them return to the present, the place where they were still alive. At first, it may sound childish, trivial, but the impact was profound. Those who engaged in these activities had fewer symptoms of post-traumatic stress. Less anxiety, more focus, more balance, while others collapsed under the weight of the past and terrifying memories. They found stability in each chisel strike, each stitch. Honestly, if the ancient Stoic philosophers had clay to mold, they might have been even wiser. So, what about you? When your mind is in turmoil, take it to your hands. Grab a pen. You don't have to be an artist. Draw, color, scribble anything. Turn on your favorite music. No goals, no judgments, just stepping out of the fog. Try an old pastime. Molding clay. Pinch, squeeze, roll into a ball. Make something. Or make nothing at all. Your hands will take over and your brain get a vacation. Step into the kitchen. But this time, no phone, no recipe. Just you, the ingredients and your hands kneading, chopping, stirring. Turn it into a ritual. A way to return to yourself. You see, this simple act using your hands to create something doesn't just relieve stress. It brings you back to who you are. No perfection needed, no goals. Just touching life with your hands. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's the quickest way to soothe a mind that's burning up. You've calmed your mind with your hands. Now, let's learn to steady the mind with your heart. Because when you're there, with flour on your elbows, or patiently peeling a carrot one by one, you're no longer thinking about bills to pay. You're no longer worrying about unanswered texts or tomorrow's meeting. You're living in the present. You are living. And that, my friend, brings a peace that no book can teach you, no app can replace. You can't let your mind pull you into dark roads, places filled with worry, fear, imagination, and scenarios that will never happen without giving yourself a chance to stop, to breathe, to touch life, to return to the simplest thing, being present in every action. Because yes, only calmness will get you to where you truly want to go. And sometimes that calmness doesn't come from deep meditation or analyzing a problem with 100 thoughts. Sometimes it comes from your hands, from doing something specific, tangible, touchable, reconnecting with reality through your own body. So, here's the final challenge for you. Next time you feel your mind starting to spin, when tangled thoughts pull you like crashing waves, don't sit still and analyze it anymore. Stand up, use your hands, create something, draw some scribbles, cook something simple, fold paper, plant a tree, fix a shelf, or just pick up a pen and write a few lines in your journal. Who knows? Maybe while you're calming your mind, you'll uncover a hidden talent, something you never even knew you had. And if not, then at least you've reclaimed something incredibly important that many people in modern life have lost. That to calm the mind, sometimes all you need is to touch life with your own hands. Training a calm mind is not something that happens overnight. It doesn't come from a single quote or an inspirational video. It's a journey, a choice repeated every day, a decision not to react with anger, not to be pulled down by fear, and not to let yourself get lost in inner chaos. Every time you choose calmness, you choose freedom. Every time you reclaim control over your life from within. And my friend, that's what makes the difference between someone living according to others and someone living with true power. If you've made it this far, if you've listened to the end, reflected, and feel something has changed inside of you, write in the comments below, "I choose to live in calmness," because that choice changes everything. It's not just a sentence, it's a declaration. It's the first milestone on the path to mastering yourself. And if you write that sentence, I'll know you are a true Stoic warrior, someone who has made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video if it's brought you some peace, inspiration, or insight. I also invite you to check out the playlist next to this, full of stories, techniques, and perspectives that will help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click on it, and we'll keep moving forward together. See you next time. Take care of yourself, and continue nurturing the Stoic within you every day.